All right, welcome. Today, we're getting into something really interesting, Codatta's system for proving you own your data contributions. We're talking about a way to make your digital rights totally enforceable, and even better, transferable.
So let's just start with the big question, right? Imagine an ocean of information, and you've contributed just one single drop. How in the world do you prove that drop is yours? It's a massive challenge, and it's the exact problem this whole system is built to solve. So here's what we're going to cover. First, we'll look at the data ownership problem itself. Then we'll introduce this idea of digital deeds. We'll walk through how you actually earn and use them, cover all the safety features, and wrap up with the system's core unbreakable promises. Let's jump in.
Okay, Section 1. Let's really set the stage here. At its heart, this is a gigantic accounting problem. I mean, think about it. When you have millions, maybe even billions of tiny individual contributions building one massive data set, how can you possibly track and reward every single person fairly?
It's just a problem of insane scale. Without a really solid system, your contributions just get lost in the noise. Your value gets diluted. And honestly, that's the whole hurdle, isn't it? It makes people not want to contribute, and it basically demands a completely new way of thinking about this.
And that new way of thinking, that solution, is what Codatta is calling tokenized ownership proofs. This is where we go from that impossible accounting nightmare to a really elegant, verifiable, and clean system of record.
You know, the best way to think about this is with that analogy right there on the screen, a digital deed. Every single thing you contribute, no matter how small, gets its very own digital deed. So it's not just some random entry in a database anymore. It's a formal, enforceable right that you actually hold.
And this chart illustrates one of the absolute core principles here. Ownership is always fractional. For any data set, all the pieces of the pie, whether they belong to contributors or financial backers or even the protocol itself, will always, and I mean always, add up to exactly 100%. No funny business, no hidden shares. It's a complete, totally transparent picture.
So, what can you actually own? Well, it gets pretty granular. You can own a piece of a single specific thing, like one particular verified photo. That's what we call unit level. Or you can zoom out and own a fraction of the entire curated data set, say the whole collection of photos. The system even accounts for a small transparent slice for protocol maintenance, so everyone knows where every single percentage point is going.
Okay, this is all great in theory, but how do you actually get your piece of the pie? How do you get a stake? Well, the system lays out two really clear paths to do just that.
So on one side, you've got the knowledge contributors. These are the creators, right? The folks on the ground doing the work, providing the raw data, labeling things, validating information. And on the other side, you've got the knowledge backers. These are the supporters. They provide the capital, they stake on the quality of the data, and they basically help get the project off the ground. Both roles are absolutely critical, and both get a path to real ownership. For the creators, it's pretty simple. You submit your contribution. Once it gets verified and accepted, the system creates a unique digital ID for it. That's the contribution fingerprint. Then boom, the protocol automatically mints your ownership share. Your work turns directly into a real, tangible asset.
Now for the backers, it's all about putting your capital to work to show confidence in the project. You can stake funds to support the data's quality, and your ownership share can actually go up or down based on how well that data performs in audits. Plus, if it's enabled, you can also just buy existing shares from others on a secondary market.
So once you have these ownership shares, they're not just stuck in your account. They're designed to be dynamic, living assets. So let's get into the mechanics of how you can actually move and use them.
There are really two main ways to move your shares. First, there's a direct transfer. Super simple, it's an immediate change of ownership, perfect for things like moving assets between your own wallets or giving shares to your team members. Then you have escrow. This one is conditional. It's like putting the asset in a safe deposit box that only opens when certain conditions are met. This is amazing for more complex stuff like milestone-based payments or handling disputes.
And here's exactly how that safe, conditional escrow works. The current owner puts their ownership share into a neutral, temporary contract. Then the other person has to fulfill their side of the deal. Maybe it's making a payment, for example. Once those conditions are met, the asset gets released automatically to the new owner. And if they're not met, no problem. It just safely goes right back to the original owner. It's a process that builds trust because you don't have to rely on it.
Okay, so all of this sounds great, but it would be completely useless without trust, right? So let's talk about the safety features. Let's talk about how this system actually guarantees it's reliable and secure for every single person involved.
The key word here is verifiable. The system gives you all these different kinds of concrete proofs you can literally hold in your hand. You get an ownership receipt. Think of it as your official title deed. You get a cryptographic proof that shows your deed is legitimate. You get detailed notes on any transfers, and you get something called a snapshot hash, which is the secret sauce for calculating payouts fairly. These aren't just claims on a website, they are hard, auditable facts.
But what if something does go wrong? What if there's a mistake? Well, that's exactly what the challenge window is for. It's a built-in safety net. After any transaction happens, there's a specific amount of time where anyone can file a dispute. And if they do, any payouts related to that transaction are automatically paused until the issue is officially sorted out. It's a fantastic way to protect everyone from errors or even fraud.
All right, to bring this all home, let's look at the absolute bedrock principles that this whole system is built on. Think of these as the 4 unbreakable rules, the promises that guarantee its integrity no matter what.
Rule number 1 is snapshot truth. What this means is that payouts are always based on who owned what at a specific moment in the past. You can't change your shares today and expect it to affect a payout from yesterday. History can't be rewritten, which is what makes the whole payout process predictable and fair.
Rule 2. Receipts beat opinions. I love this one. It means a verifiable, cryptographically signed receipt is the absolute final word on who owns what. Your proof is what matters, not just someone's claim or opinion. The only way that changes is if it goes through that formal dispute process we talked about.
Rule number 3 is that simple but powerful idea we saw with the donut chart, sum to 1. All the ownership pieces for any asset will always add up to exactly 1.0 or 100%. This guarantees total mathematical transparency. There are no secret shares, nothing is off the books, it all adds up.
And finally, Rule 4. The ledger is append only. This means the history of ownership is a permanent, unchangeable record. Every change is just added as a new entry to the end of the log. Old records are never, ever edited or deleted. This gives you a complete, tamper-proof audit trail of everything that's ever happened right from the very beginning.
So let's end with this thought. We've just walked through a system that creates clear, provable, and transferable ownership for digital work. Now, the real question is, if a model like this became the standard, how would that completely reshape our digital world? How would it change the incentives, the fairness, and the very foundation of our online economy? It's definitely something to think about.